What is up, designers? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips on how you can work more efficiently in After Effects. So, let's jump straight into it. When you open After Effects, the first thing you'll see is this window. Personally, I don't have any use for this at all, so what I do is I get rid of it by going to Preferences, General, then uncheck Enable Home Screen. The next time you open After Effects, the home screen will no longer appear. Next tip is to set up your workspaces. Right off the bat, there are already a lot of pre-made workspaces that you'll see up here and also in the drop-down menu over here. These workspaces help us by only showing the panels that are necessary for the type of work that we're doing. This right here is a customized workspace that I use all the time. It contains my most frequently used panels and plugins. To set up a custom workspace, go to Window and select the panels that you need, place them wherever is most convenient for you, and when you're done, just go here and click Save as New Workspace. We've identified a need to have a standardized system of organizing project assets. Not only will the system help streamline your designing process, but it will also make it easier for clients or fellow designers to navigate your projects. So I'm going to walk you through it now. Please pay close attention. This is the organization structure in its most basic form. We have two main folders, one for your render comps and the other for the assets. I will put a link to this After Effects template on the description box below so you don't have to manually create these folders all the time. Under the render folder are pre-made comps for the frequently requested sizes. You may tweak the composition settings however you want to. You may personalize the template even further by removing or adding other sizes. You may also change the name of the render comps, just make sure to always end it with a version number. Why? Because we'll be keeping all versions and variations in a single After Effects project file. So when a client requests some changes to your initial design, here's what you should do. Duplicate your main comp using the basic duplicate command, or use True Comp Duplicator by AE Scripts. This script comes in very handy when you're working with multiple comps and subcomps, so make sure to check it out if you haven't already. Once you've duplicated your main comp, create a previous version subfolder and just move the older comps. Again, this is just the bare bones organization structure. You can add more folders and subfolders depending on what your project needs. To save your own custom template, go to File, Save As, then select Adobe After Effects Template Project. And if you want to have this template every time you open After Effects, then just go to Preferences, New Project, enable New Project Loads Template, choose your template, and hit OK. So the next time you open After Effects, you're not starting with a blank project anymore. Learning the keyboard shortcuts to commands that you always use is one of the most basic things you can do to optimize your workflow, but probably saves you the most time. To open this window, just go to Edit and select Keyboard Shortcuts. Here you can search for different commands and learn the default shortcuts, or you can even customize them however is most convenient for you. Now I'm not going to walk you through all the keyboard shortcuts that I use, but I'm going to leave a link below to a document where they're all listed. Let me know if you want me to make a separate material showing those shortcuts in action. Sometimes we're provided with video assets in 4K MOV format. But most of the time, we don't even need that big of a resolution. So right here, I have an 8-second footage in 4K. If I put this on my timeline, you'll see that the playback is so slow. So normally, what I'll do is I'll transcode this to H.264 1080p. For Mac users, you can simply right-click on the footage, click on Encode Selected Video Files, and choose H.264 1080p. You'll see that from around 280 megabytes, the file size is now down to roughly 12 megabytes. Now I don't know if there's a similar functionality for Windows, but another option is to drag and drop your files onto Media Encoder, set the export settings to H.264 format, change the dimensions to 1920 by 1080, and then press Start. So let's put this on my timeline. Playback is now a lot faster, and the quality is not really noticeably different. Rendering your composition only takes a couple of clicks, But since we designers do a lot of rendering, it's best for us to make templates of our most used settings. Once you have everything set up, click on the drop-down arrow, select Make Template, and change the template name. So now, if you put more comps in the render queue, you can simply select them all and choose the template that you need. Same thing with Media Encoder. Once you're happy with the export settings, just click on the Save Preset icon. Now, you can easily apply the same settings to everything else. Now I'm going to show you some of the basic tools and features in After Effects that I find really useful and time-saving. First up is Adobe Color Themes. Go to Window, Extensions, Adobe Color Themes. You can put this wherever you want. This allows you to create and save color palettes. So here you'll see that I've already saved quite a few. This is especially useful when you're working on multiple projects for a single brand because you won't have to pull up the brand guidelines every time just to get the color codes. You'll notice that it only allows you to put 5 colors per theme. So if you're working on a project that uses more than 5 colors, then you may want to use the System Color Picker. Right now, the color picker appears like so. To change this, go to Preferences, General, enable Use System Color Picker. So now, you can just select or input the colors that you need and add them in the Custom Colors section. Just to quickly go over the basics, we use these tools to align things to the left side of our composition, right, top, bottom, align horizontally and vertically. But what we can also do is to align multiple layers relative to our selection. So we just select the layers that we want to align, make sure that the Align option is switched to Selection, and when we click Align Top, our selected layers are now aligned at the topmost part of the selection. Here's Align Bottom, Left, and Right. We can also easily align and evenly distribute multiple layers. To do this along the x-axis, select your layers, then align vertically. Place the outermost layers where you want your selection to begin and end. So for this example, I'm going to set them at 100 pixels from the sides of the composition. Select the layers again, and then distribute horizontally. To do this along the y-axis, select your layers, align horizontally, set the outermost layers, select them all again, then distribute vertically. If you find yourself in situations wherein you need to perfectly connect the sides, corners, or anchor points of multiple layers, then you can easily do so by using the snapping feature. First, you have to make sure snapping is enabled. On your selected layer, just click somewhere close to the vertex that you want to connect to another layer. You'll know if you did this correctly if a small box appears around your vertex. Then you should be able to connect to any of the vertices on the other layer. Did you know that you can perform basic mathematical operations almost anywhere in After Effects that allows us to input numbers? This feature is especially useful if you want to animate objects at fixed intervals. For example, I want this logo to move 260 pixels to the right every 24 frames. So I'm going to click on the position stopwatch, move to the 24th frame, and on the X position field, I'm simply going to put plus 260, and After Effects calculates it for me. Move forward 24 frames again, plus 260, and again. At this point, let's say I want to reduce the scale of the logo by half, but I don't know what 35 divided by 2 is. So I'll click on the scale stopwatch, move forward 24 frames, and simply put /2. And there you go. Another way you can perfectly position and align your layers is by using guides. Go to View and select Show Rulers, and just click, hold, and drag as many vertical and horizontal lines as you need. Then go to View again and select Snap to Guides, so if I drag my text, it will snap to the guides. Now what if I want to set my guides at exactly 250 pixels from the sides of my composition? Just hover over the guide, right-click once you see the two-headed arrow, and then Edit Position. Now I can set this to 250, this one 1920 minus 250, 1920 because that's the width of our composition, and yes, basic math also works here. And again 250 here, then 1080 minus 250 here. There you go. These next ones are pretty basic but still worth mentioning for those who might not know about them yet. First up is the solo switch. So when you're working on a scene that has multiple layers and you want only a couple of them to be visible, then instead of hiding the other layers, you simply toggle the solo switch and only the selected layers will be visible. Toggle it again and the other layers will reappear. Next is the lock switch. So when you want to prevent unintentionally selecting and modifying your layers, this is what you use. Let's say I want to select these 3 shapes. If I try to click and drag, the background moves, which is not what I want, so I'm going to lock this in place, and when I click and drag, the background is no longer affected. Now that I have these 3 selected, I decided that I want to be able to distinguish them from the other layers in my timeline. So what I'm going to do is simply assign a label to these layers and do the same to the rest. Assigning labels to your layers can be very handy when your timeline looks like this. Let's say I want to select all the logos. Selecting them manually can be very time-consuming. Clicking and dragging won't work either because the shape layers that are not locked are also being selected. What I can do instead is click on the label on one of the logos, then select Label Group. And if for some reason I decided that I don't want these layers to appear in my timeline, I'm just going to toggle the shy switch and then click here to enable it. When working on a project with multiple pre-comps and nested comps, a great tool to help you navigate more easily is the Composition Mini-flowchart. To launch it, click on this icon or simply press Tab on your keyboard. It appears wherever your cursor is at. So this one right here is the composition that I have open right now. To its right are the comps that are inside it. If I click here, you'll see that there are a lot more comps, and I can go even further down the line and just select the comp that I want to open. So with the mini flowchart, not only do I get a clear picture of how my comps are connected, but I can also easily navigate comps that are 4 or 5 layers deep. We are down to the last one. I have here my main comp and a pre-comp. Let's say I want to move these elements to the corners of my shape layer. Instead of jumping back and forth between comps to make sure that I get my adjustments right, I'll simply click here and select New Comp Viewer. Make sure that your main comp viewer is locked. Now if I open my pre-comp, I can now move my elements around and immediately see how they appear in my main comp. So that is it for this video. I hope you learned something new today. Let me know if you found this useful, if you didn't find this useful, and also if you have workflow tips of your own that you'd like to share. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.